What secret plan is China hiding for its massive World War II parade on September 3, 2025, with whispers of Trump and Putin joining Xi Jinping in Beijing? One moment could tip the world into chaos or unity. What's really at stake? 80 years ago, China's victory over Japan in 1945 ended a brutal war and reshaped its place in the world. The War of Resistance against Japanese aggression, starting with Japan's 1937 invasion, was devastating. Historians estimate 35 million Chinese lives lost, soldiers and civilians alike. The 1937 Nanjing massacre alone saw 100,000 to 300,000 people killed in weeks. Despite divisions between the nationalists under Chiang Kai-shek and the communists under Mao Zedong, China fought back, tying down millions of Japanese troops. This resistance weakened Japan's Pacific Campaign, aiding the global Allied effort. China got help from the US through the Flying Tigers, American pilots who flew missions to support Chinese forces. The 1943 Cairo Declaration, signed by the US, UK, and China, promised to return territories like Taiwan and Manchuria to China. The 1945 Potsdam Proclamation backed this up, shaping Asia's post-war map. That victory ended China's century of humiliation, a period of foreign invasions since the 1800s, and earned it a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. For the Chinese Communist Party, which took power in 1949, this history is a cornerstone of its legitimacy, framing China as a nation that overcame oppression. Fast forward to 2025, and this parade is about more than history. With a $296 billion military budget, second only to the US, China will showcase hypersonic missiles and stealth fighters. The Chinese Communist Party uses the 1945 victory to rally its people and claim its role as a defender of the post-war order, citing agreements like Cairo and Potsdam to support claims over territories like Taiwan. But the world today is far from the Allied unity of 1945. Back then, China and the US were partners against Japan. Now, they're rivals, clashing over trade, tech, and influence. President Trump's second term has turned up the heat, with 145% tariffs on Chinese goods, costing China an estimated $200 billion in exports yearly, according to trade reports. The US has also strengthened alliances like the Quad, Japan, India, Australia, to counter China's rise in Asia. Meanwhile, China's bond with Russia has deepened since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. China now accounts for 30% of Russia's trade, hitting $200 billion annually. In May 2025, Xi attended Russia's Victory Day parade in Moscow, where both leaders slammed US sanctions and pushed for a world not ruled by one power. North Korea, likely joining China's parade, adds to this bloc, challenging Western influence. Yet, China plays a careful game. It condemns US sanctions, but keeps $1.1 trillion in trade with the US and courts European investment to offset tariffs. The parade is China's way of showing its strong, united, and ready to lead in a world splitting into new power blocs. Now picture this: US President Donald Trump standing next to Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, watching tanks roll through Tiananmen Square. Reports from Kyodo News and others say China has invited Trump to the September 3rd parade, though it's not confirmed. Putin is expected to be there, joined by leaders from Belarus, South Korea, and possibly Shanghai Cooperation Organization members. If Trump shows up, it'd be a massive moment, a rare gathering of the world's top powers. For Xi, hosting Trump and Putin would be a diplomatic win, casting China as a bridge between East and West. The parade's historical framing, recalling US-China cooperation against Japan, could make Trump's presence less controversial. It might open doors for trade deals or climate talks, where US-China cooperation is key. For Trump, attending fits his deal-making style. He's pushed for a Ukraine ceasefire, proposing a 1,300-mile demilitarized zone, and sees China as a partner in pressuring Russia. A Beijing visit could yield tariff reductions, boosting his image at home. But the risks are big. US critics, with 60% of Americans viewing China as a threat per 2025 Pew Research polls, might accuse Trump of cozying up to authoritarian leaders. Allies like Japan are uneasy. Kyodo News notes, Japan fears a US-China-Russia summit could sideline its interests, especially since China's narrative often paints Japan as the World War II villain. Japan's perspective adds complexity. As the defeated power in 1945, Japan treads carefully around China's war commemorations, which can stir nationalist feelings and highlight Japan's past aggression. Trump attending could feel like a betrayal to Japan, a key US ally, especially if it seems to endorse China's version of history. Japan marks World War II differently, focusing on its post-war pacifism, a contrast to China's military showcase. This tension shows the delicate balance of historical memory and modern alliances in Asia. The parade's implications are huge. If Trump, Xi, and Putin meet, it could spark talks on Ukraine, trade, or Taiwan, stabilizing markets rattled by $3 trillion in trade disruptions since 2022. It might signal a new trilateral dialogue, challenging the US-led order born after World War II. The BRICS group, including China and Russia, now accounts for 35% of global GDP, pushing for a multipolar world. But if it's just a photo op with no progress, it could embolden China and Russia, signaling US weakness. Japan, South Korea, and Australia might question America's commitment, while US domestic backlash could deepen division. Any Chinese move, like escalating in the South China Sea, could undo fragile gains. Will Trump show up? I predict he'll skip it. He craves deals, and China could offer trade or Ukraine wins, per Reuters 2025 reports. But the backlash would be brutal. 60% of Americans distrust China, and critics would slam him for legitimizing Xi and Putin. Japan and South Korea would feel betrayed, per Kyodo News, risking AUKUS and Quad ties. Trump's 2024 campaign leaned on looking tough at home, so he'll likely dodge the parade, maybe sending an envoy or pushing virtual talks. China and Russia will still flex, but without Trump, the global impact shrinks. As China marks 80 years since its World War II victory, this parade is where history meets ambition. It's China showing its power, rallying its people, and shaping the global narrative. Will Trump join Xi and Putin to rewrite the world's future, or will hidden tensions explode? You've seen the stakes. Now you know why this moment could change everything. Thanks for diving into this story of history and geopolitics. Subscribe for more on the forces shaping our world.